job.
to it.
Thank you.
I'm looking forward to grammarian.
Okay.
I'll be on the lookout, Mr. Guy.
Welcome to Central Florida Facilitators 9958.
Grammarian.
For our guests, we're all called the facilitators for 3 reasons. We're sponsored by the Central Florida chapter of the American Society of Training and Development, the premier organization for professional facilitators. A good facilitator needs to be a strong communicator and an effective leader. And Toastmasters is all about communication and leadership. To facilitate means to make things easy and possible, and we want to make things easy and possible for you tonight. I am pleased to see that we have 2 guests tonight. Roy, correct? You're
I
Roy?
think you paid already.
No, sir, I wrote my check.
You wrote the check.
Take it off. Take it off.
Yeah.
Anything bounced, it went through.
All right, then we have Mark Guy. Would you please stand up and tell us a few words on how you found us and what brought you here?
Hi everyone, my name is Mark Guy. I'm a visitor and also a guest speaker tonight. I belong to Winter Haven Club in Winter Haven, Florida. I looked your club on the internet, on the Toastmasters website. I had some business earlier today, so I decided to come here. Thank you, Micki, for communicating with me. I also noticed that your club is very special because you have a cradle of champions, Mark and Jonathan, and I was there in Jacksonville cheering you on and learning a lot from you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
One note that I'd like to bring up that I've noticed lately is when we have speakers and evaluators, I don't see them getting enough feedbacks from those papers that we give out. Everybody needs some feedback, and it really would be advantageous to them if you did support them and give them a feedback, whether they're speakers, evaluators, or whatever other function they have. It really helps them to become better Toastmasters. And please don't be afraid to put your name, because sometimes if they can't understand exactly what you meant, they can go and ask you, what did you mean by that? I have to ask Jonathan every single time because he writes notes to me in Chinese and Portuguese.
They're all insults, Charlie. Not as bad as the one you gave me.
Okay. Our Toastmaster this evening has lived a life full of adventures so far. He was born in rural Ohio. We don't hold that against him. But at the young age of 11, he left home because he knew the world had more to offer him than the cows and corn. He ended up in New York, where he was bitten by the acting bug, and he decided to pursue the theater. At the age of 22, his acting dream came true when he beat out Rosie O'Donnell and Roseanne Barr for the leading role in the
I love it already.
in the Diana monologues. He won 3 Tony Awards. He later went on to star in the television series Survivor. He tried his hand at politics in the early 90s, but it was short-lived when he was told he didn't have the skills necessary to make it in politics and lost out on the interim position for President Bill Clinton. Mark then went on a journey of self-discovery and traveled the globe, spending time with Aborigine tribesmen and Tibetan monks. As a result, he is 6th-degree black belt, a Zen consultant, and excellent spear hunter. He's well-versed in the art of language and knows how to nod his head yes and no in 36 different languages. With all this, Mark still is a very humble person. Please welcome the 2006 winner of Survivor, Detroit, Mark Audrey.
Good evening,
evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Oh, come on now. If I was in the military, you'd all be doing push-ups right now. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Better. I'm so excited. We have a great meeting in store for you tonight. We do have some administrative stuff to go through first, so I'd like to make mention that we have some changes to the agenda. Jonathan Dunn will be filling in as our timer this evening, except during the table topics portion when I will be filling in as timer, so we're going to tag team that.
Step up, guys.
Susan Morgan has graciously volunteered to also be our Evaluator number 1 because Tony Gittles is not here this evening. So, with all that said and done, we've got an action-packed meeting tonight, so as Jonathan would say, we're going to just launch right into this tonight. Over time, most of the holidays seem to have lost their meaning and true purpose. Christmas used to be about the celebration of Christ, but now it's just about getting presents and stocking stuffers. Easter used to have prolific religious meaning, and now it's all about a rabbit and finding plastic eggs on the White House lawn. Mardi Gras is nothing more than boobs and beads. Even St. Patrick's Day is not about a saint anymore. It's about who can wear the most green and drink the most alcohol. There's only one true holiday that has kept its meaning throughout time. From beginning to end, this holiday exists for only one reason: to make fools out of us all. A great holiday, and third on my all-time favorite list of holidays, right behind my birthday and Halloween. Now, many believe this holiday started back in the Middle Ages when the celebration of New Year's Eve was moved from being a week-long celebration at the end of March, ending on April 1st, to January 1st. And those who forgot the holiday was moved or continued to celebrate the holiday on April 1st were actually called fools. Now, April Fool's Day is celebrated all over the world. In the UK, it's customary to only prank people until noon. Anybody who pranks someone after noon is often referred to as the fool over there. In a lot of French-speaking countries, the goal is to attach a paper fish to the victim's back without him noticing. They call it April Fish. That's what's so great about April Fools. There's no rules or regulations that limit the type of jokes you want to do. If you want to put a whoopee cushion on your sister's chair, go for it. If you want to put a rubber snake in the pool and watch your sister freak out, have at it. That's awesome. If you want to light your neighbor's car on fire because he takes up 2 parking spaces and doesn't want anybody to scratch his new car, is James here tonight? I don't condone that level of April Fool's joke. Flaming poop is acceptable. Flaming cars, not so much, unless of course it is Detroit. So let's take a look at our functionaries that we have helping us out this evening. And for tonight, we're going to do something a little bit different. Functionaries, you'll notice there is a hat of knowledge on your table. So when I introduce you to give us the description of your role, if you could please wear the hat of knowledge, I would greatly appreciate it. First up is our grammarian tonight, Roy Wittig. If you could please stand up and tell us how you will be doing for the grammarian tonight, I would greatly appreciate it. Hat of knowledge.
And you have to shake.
Oh. All right. As grammarian, I've chosen the word of the day, which is flim-flam. I will keep track of those who use the word of the day. For clubs will define those who have a chance to speak and do not use the word of the day will be fined 25 cents. Guest members who have not yet given their icebreaker speech will not be fined, including myself. I will also listen for colorful imagery and exceptional use of the vocabulary and grammar. At the end of the meeting, I will report on grammar usage and suggest where I see improvements can be made. Now, flim-flam, is now the time to go into flim-flam?
Sure.
All right, so flim-flam is a noun or a verb, and I'm terrible at picking out words of the day, by the way. This made total sense last night. I was just reading through this afternoon, but we're going with it because I like how it sounds. Flim-flam, it just rolls off the tongue. So it's nonsensical or insincere talk. I suppose that you suspect me of pseudo-intellectual flim-flam. I mean, that's how awesome is that, right? It's also a verb. Swindle someone with a confidence scheme. The tribe was flim-flammed out of its land. Flim flam.
Thank you very much. The next functionary tonight is our timer, Jonathan Dunn.
I'm not going to be able to wear the hat. I saw, seriously, some little black bugs in Roy's
Something really itches tonight.
scalp spot there. And I'm not wearing that because I'm not getting any bugs in this dome. Just kidding, it was some flim flam. Oh! And I know we're going to be the butt of many jokes for wearing this too, but I can deal with that. As timer, our speakers must speak not less than 30 seconds under the range minimum, and not more than 30 seconds over the range maximum. And I see tonight that we have 3 speeches. I believe there's 1 typo on Charlie's is 5 to 6.
That's what he provided.
No, it's 5. I meant 5 to 7.
So, knowing that, I will be hitting the green light at 5 minutes, the yellow light at 6, and the red light at 7, meaning you have 30 seconds left to complete your speech. So 5 to 7 for everyone. That's where we're at, correct? For table topics this evening, to qualify, speakers must speak at least 1 minute and no more than 2 minutes and 30 seconds. The green light will come on at 1 minute, the yellow light at 1 minute and a half, and the red light will come on at 2 minutes. Once again, meaning there's 30 seconds left. Our evaluators this evening, 2 to 3 minutes to qualify. Green light 2 minutes, yellow light 2.5, and the red light at 3. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster.
If you could reset the light, please, Mr. Timer.
Yes, sir.
Our next functionary this evening is the ah counter. Maureen Martin, can you stand up and tell us about ah counting tonight? If you can wear the hat of knowledge, please, I'd very appreciate it.
Which one is that?
The hat.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm gonna mess up my hair, but that's okay.
You can also substitute out for this hat.
Alright, I'm good. In order to improve the quality of our speech, the art counter's job is to make us aware of disruptive audible crutches such as and you know, and double clutches, which is the repetition of a word while the speaker searches for their next thought. I will also note sentences strung together with bridge words such as and, so, or like. I will sound the buzzer when I hear any of these infractions. Please note this is not to cause embarrassment, but to get immediate feedback on an area that needs improvement. The fine for each infraction is 10 cents. Guests and members who have not given their icebreaker speech will not be fined or buzzed, but I will keep track of their infractions. I will give a report at the end of the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Maureen. And our supervisor of elections tonight, Cece Ward, if you could please tell us about supervisor elections. And if I could ask you for the hat of knowledge, please, so. Complete. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. As a vote counter, I will pick up your ballots for best speaker, best table topic speaker, best evaluator, and most improved speaker. I will tally the results for award presentations at the end of the meeting. I will also pick up any comments you might have written for speakers of any meeting participant and deliver the comments to the appropriate person. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you. Now, I know we all came here to have fun tonight, and I know Charlie was so anxious to get the ball rolling that he kind of just skipped over the fountain pledge. So we'd like to take a quick pause and invite Jonathan Dunn up here for the fountain pledge this evening.
I also want to say that I cleared with the Toastmaster that the thought will take 3 minutes today. Indians, they were here in the United States, still are, and it was tribal habit that when the boys hit 16 years old, that the tribal elders would send them off into the woods for a month with nothing but their hunting knife and a leather satchel to hold water. And then after a month was up, the tribal elders would go out, they'd bring them back, and they would have a huge party initiating them into the tribe as men. So one of the boys turned 16, they blindfolded him, they took him out into the woods, they released it, and they said, best of luck to you. Quickly, the boy found water, he found a food source, and he found acceptable shelter. And he kind of just kicked it back for the first few days. It was going good, he was going to be a man. Except, he ran out of food, he ran out of water, and the wind blew and it knocked his shelter over. And he'd gotten so comfortable, he suddenly became very concerned. A week went by, he had had no water besides some dew that he had collected off leaves, absolutely no food, and things were looking extremely bleak. And I mean extremely bleak. He sat down to figure out his options, and when he sat down, he saw there was a mountain in the distance. And he formulated in his head that if he could make it to the mountain and climb up high enough, he could get a line of sight over the trees, spot some water, and usually where there's water, there's food. So he gets to the base of the mountain, and he spots a trail. And he's summoning up all the energy he has to make it up the trail, and he's just about to get to where he can see over the trees, and a humongous 6-foot rattlesnake comes right out of the path and is sunning, and it's not moving. And he realizes that this thing's recoil, it could get him from 18 feet. So he's just sitting there, and he's frozen, and he's shaking, and he's starving, and he's hungry, and he's thirsty, and he's really worried now. And he's contemplating retreating back, but he doesn't want to startle this rattlesnake at all. But the rattlesnake turns its head towards him and starts talking to him. Says, God, boy, you look thirsty. You look really hungry. And you look lost. And the boy's like, don't come near me. I got my knife. I'm going to stab you. You're a rattlesnake. I know what you can do. The rattlesnake says, boy, you look starving. You look so thirsty. Let's make a deal. The boy said, I don't make deals with rattlesnakes. I'm turning around, I'm leaving. Don't bite me. The rattlesnake says, I'm not going to bite you. Just pick me up. I know you know the way down the mountain, and when we get to the bottom of the mountain, I can bring you right to food. I can bring you right to drink. And everybody lives happily ever after. The boy says, you promise you won't bite me, to the rattlesnake. Rattlesnake, I'm not going to bite you. So the boy flips the rattlesnake over his shoulder, goes to the bottom of the mountain, and sure enough, the rattlesnake leads him to all the food he can eat, all the water he can drink, and it's a big party. The boy's stuffing his face, the rattlesnake's stuffing its face, they're drinking water, they're partying. The snake actually starts dancing around. And the boy is like, he started doing the Indian dance, and he's starting to dance around. Then they eat some more, they drink some more, they start dancing some more, and then the rattlesnake goes over to the boy, and sure enough, it bites him right on his leg. And when the boy falls to the ground and he's writhing in pain, the rattlesnake is just biting him time after time after time after time. And the boy's crying and he's screaming, he says, you told me you wouldn't bite me! And the rattlesnake said, you knew I was a rattlesnake, what did you expect? So the thought is, what are you hanging on to your life that represents that rattlesnake that you know is going to eventually bite you back? Please stand and join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please welcome back our Toastmaster, Mark Lockery.
You know, when you were describing the rattlesnake biting him time after time, I couldn't get Cyndi Lauper out of my head. Now, in our excitement, we also skipped right over the educational moment. So, Micki, do you have an educational moment that you would like to share?
I do, but I propose to postpone it for next week because we are running very late.
Okay, are we doing the joke of the day tonight?
That would be nice.
Do you have a joke?
No.
Okay,
You said you were
I have a
ready.
quick joke. I do have a joke.
Okay.
Okay. And then we'll get right into the speeches. Okay, so. Go there, and there. A young boy had just gotten his driving permit. And he asked his father, who was a minister, "Dad, can I borrow the car?" And his father took a look at him and took him into the study and said, "I'll make a deal with you, son. You bring your grades up, study your Bible, and get a haircut. We'll talk about it." After about a month, the boy came back and again asked his father if they could discuss using the car. And again they went into the father's study where the father said, "Son, I've been real proud of you. You've brought your grades up, you've studied your Bible diligently, but you still haven't cut your hair." The young man waited a moment and then replied, "You know, Dad, I've been thinking about that. You see, Samson had long hair, and Moses had long hair, and even Jesus had long hair. So I'm not going to get my hair cut." To which the father replied, "Yes, son," and they walked everywhere they needed to go. Okay, we're going to launch right into the prepared speeches tonight. Our first speaker has the heart of a 6'11" LeBron James wannabe. Some of her recent accomplishments are: she ran the 2015 Boston Marathon in the short leg competition and won first place, received the Nobel Peace Prize, peace being spelled P-I-E-C-E, for completing the world's largest puzzle. She has homes in London, Paris, Rome, and Monte Carlo, Missouri. Currently, she's the hand and foot model for Dr. Scholl's and Patch Adams Limb Hospital. Her speech asks the question, "What if?" and wants you to seriously think about the actions you would take if you are provided with the opportunity. Please welcome confident communicator Gloria E.
Make sure everyone can see me. So tonight, I'm going to ask you what-if questions about 3 different scenarios, and I want you to seriously think about each response. At the end, I will provide you my recommendation based on the information that I share. Mr. Toastmaster, fellow guests, and other court jesters. Just imagine the headline: Toastmasters 9958 wins $50 million. $50 million. So that means each member gets probably about $1 million. So it's not 300 million, and it's not 500 million, but it's 1 million. And there's so much that you could do with 1 million. Have you ever really seriously thought about it? So just imagine you're at the bank and you just made your deposit. So what are your next steps? What are you going to do? Who are you going to call? Or who's going to call you? I'm sure the relatives will come out of the woodwork. Are you going to invest the money without being flim-flam, right? Or are you going to purchase something? A car, a boat, a house? And what about charity? Are you going to give any money to charity? So how many of you, I want to see a show of hands, think you could double that money? Please raise your hand. At $1 million, you think you could double it?
In what time frame?
Oh, you know what?
30 years.
I don't know.
Oh,
Yeah.
sure.
Let's say 5 years. Let's say you could double it in 5 years. Who could do that? 5 years. Okay? Anybody can triple it? So you couldn't double it. You probably couldn't triple it either. Okay? How many of you would quit your job? For $1 million, would you quit your job? Would you divorce your spouse? Or maybe you'll use that as an excuse to divorce your spouse. Are you worldly or spiritual? Statistics show that 70% of people who had unexpectedly come into large sums of money were broke after 7 years. So here's an experiment that you should try at home. So take a small bowl and put M&Ms in it, right? By the end of the day, you'll only have a couple. So the next day, get a larger bowl and put M&Ms in it. And if you do not have the self-discipline, self-control, then at the end of the day, you will have a couple of M&Ms left. Because they've done studies where there's joy when there's abundance, and a lot of folks, they want to spend everything they have that they receive, they look at it as a gift. Try it and see where you end up. And a lot of folks, they do that with their finances. Hopefully you're not one of those people. Sometimes I think I am. So let's go on with the second scenario. What if you were told that you have 6 months to live? 6 months. And today it's been 5 months and 25 days. So you have 5 days left. And you're still pretty healthy, you know, walking around, talking. What are you going to do with those 5 days? What are your plans going to be? What did you do with your time, with your 6 months that you had? Did you meet anyone on your bucket list? Who are your special circle of friends? Of course, you're going to get rid of all the flim-flam friends you have, right? And what are you going to do with your insurance policies and your bank accounts and your assets? And what will your will look like? Will you spend it all or give it all away? Will you make visits to your church or speak with your pastor? Are you worldly or spiritual? There was a young man that worked for NPR. He was about 29 years old, and he was on a world journey. He was traveling around the world, and he received a spiritual assignment to live like he had 6 months left. And he thought that would be fairly easy, but he found that it was really, really hard to do. And it impacted him so much that when the assignment was over, he purchased this application that works with statistics and all kinds of data that'll tell you what your life expectancy will be. So just imagine going to your computer and seeing you have X number of days before you die. It changed him, his attitude and how he spent his time. He never, ever had a day that he wasted. So the third scenario, you meet an angel. And the angel will provide your future if you ask them. When you ask, do you want to know? Do you want to know how long you're going to live? Do you want to know if you're going to live to 70? And then who's going to be around? Do you want to know how you're going to die? Do you want to know what happens with your spouse or your family member? Are you interested in worldly or spiritual items? There were some studies that were done to survey people that had chronic diseases. One known as the Huntington gene. And they did find that if you do carry that gene, you do make different choices about education, retirement, and marriage. But there was another study that was done that found that there is a test, $300 that you could take to see if you carry that gene. And less than 5% of the people chose, that did carry the gene, chose to find out if they were a carrier of that gene. Interesting. What would you do? So let's go over those 3 scenarios. You win the lotto, you have your last 5 days, you have the opportunity to learn your future. What's common about these 3 scenarios? It gets you thinking about priorities and how selfish one can be. The actions you take describes you to a T. You can't take it with you. I know we've heard that many, many times. So what is your purpose and why are you here? And why were you placed here on earth? What have you accomplished or plan to accomplish? What do you want people to say about you, or do you even care? I think you should. Your life could change forever in a split second, and I know we all know that. So make someone laugh, tell a joke, lift someone up who needs encouragement. It's not just about you or your stuff. Heaven is for real. And in heaven, everyone is young. Everyone is 30 years old if you see that movie. Have a great attitude and thank your Creator every single day. Just realize that either you're getting ready to go through a storm, you're in a storm, or you just got out of a storm. That's life. Enjoy life. So now at this time, I would like to present our president 3 lottery tickets. And if we win, we being Toastmasters 9958, we will split it between all the folks that are present. Mr. Toastmaster.
Good night.
Don't go to the bar. Mr. Timer, if we could have 1 minute on the clock, please.
Sir, yes, sir.
Gloria would like some words of encouragement. If you guys could fill out your slips for Gloria. If anybody needs a pen, there's an extra pen up here.
Careful, it might explode.
One minute, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Timer. For our second speaker, Charlie Bombalier, at the tender age of 8, he fought off 3 of Fidel Castro's soldiers to steal a banana boat. Unfortunately, he forgot to steal the paddle, so he had to do the backstroke for 90 miles. From the time he landed on the beaches of Key West, though, he knew he liked the USA. You see, he landed on a topless beach. Need to say more. He has had an interesting life, though. A beach bum, a drunk, bank robber, currently a hardcore drug addict. They let him out today so he could speak. The cops will be waiting for him after the meeting, though. Now can you guess why the title of the speech is Bad? Help me welcome Charlie Bombalier.
Knowing that today is April Fool's Day and being asked to do something comical and freaky, I just couldn't do it. But this is not a flim-flam speech. This is something from within me. Thus the title, Bad. For the purpose of this speech, bad means badass demons. Just like most nights, the demons that were planted in my head as a child came to visit, luring me to open the door to my soul with gentle music. Once they got inside and locked the door, I knew that I was in danger. I was paralyzed for hours upon hours, unable to throw them out of my brain. But unlike most nights, they take me to the abyss of my mind. This time, they took a different journey, as they sometimes do to mess with me. Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and welcome guests. When I woke up this morning in a cold sweat, laying in bed, staring at the ceiling, I felt like my body was burning. It was like fire was from my toes to the tip of my hair. I realized very slowly as I came to and I was able to move my muscles that life will never be the same for me ever again. Nothing will ever be the same. I know that within days, I will lose my wife. I will resign from Toastmasters. And I will quit my job. As I have finally succumbed to my demons. My friends, do not think evil of me. It is beyond my power to change what I'm about to do. This weekend, I will announce to the people of Earth, I am now a bleeding heart, progressive, left-wing liberal. Yes. I will now make friends with the likes of Obama, Al Sharpton, Pelosi, and Harry Reid. And even though I am not a Christian, I am compelled to say, in nombre del Padre, del Hijo, y del Espíritu Santo, Amen. But that's not all. These demons really worked me over last night. I can no longer be an infidel. Now, I have to choose to become either a tarp-wearing Taliban or an extreme radical Islamic terrorist. My application has been submitted. This is a tough choice that I will be making. And if that's not bad enough, I am also have been ordered to become a woman. A blonde, a redhead, a brunette. Decisions, decisions, decisions. This is very difficult for me. I told my wife this morning before she went to work, when she was getting dressed, about all these events. She laughed. She was on the floor, ridiculing me. You know, Tom Jones wrote a song, "Forgive me, Gloria, I just couldn't take it anymore." And before they come to take me away, I have arranged with Obama to get on Air Force One with him. And he's going to deal with Iran to give me refuge. And I have one last bit of news to share with you. April Fool! Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Charlie. Mr. Timer, if you could reset the lights, please, and give us 1 minute on the clock. If you guys could just write some comments and share your support for Charlie as he starts his journey from Charlie to Charlene. We appreciate it. Thanks for the visuals, by the way.
1 minute, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Timer. Thank you, Mark. Mr. Timer, if we could please have 1 minute on the clock.
Sir, yes, sir.
Please write some comments for Mark. I'm sure you would appreciate some honest feedback.
One minute, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Timer. At this time, we have heard from all three of our jesters with their prepared speeches, so if you could vote for our best speaker. Cece will come around in a couple minutes. And oh yeah, can we get a timer's report? Sorry.
Yes, sir. Gloria Esteban, 8 minutes, 27 seconds. Charlie Bombalier, 9 minutes, 58 seconds. Mark Guy, 12 minutes, 45 seconds. No qualifications. Actually, April Fools. But Gloria really didn't qualify, sorry dear.
I thought so.
But Charles and Mark did, so please cast your vote for either Mark or Charlie.
Who accept Charlie or Charlene? Now while you're voting, I just want to say that April Fool's does bring out the kid in each of us. And I am the best prankster in our house. And I know that because one night I heard my wife talking on the phone to her friend, and she said that I was the king of fools. It was August, but I'm sure she was talking about April Fool's. And thanks to American capitalism, even though I'm sure most of these came from China, I was able to bring in some of your typical low-budget pranks, and they've been placed on various tables. So feel free to partake and try them out if you want. That's why they're here. Also, I have a CFF fundraising challenge for everyone here tonight. I hold in my hand 4 pieces of candy, ordinary looking, but not ordinary tasting. 2 of them taste like fish, and 2 of them smell like farts. Now I know our club needs money, so I'm willing to donate $10 to our club for each person who is willing to put one of these pieces of candy in their mouth and leave it in there for 30 seconds. So I know you're all anxious to partake in this. So just think about it, and at the end of the meeting, we'll call upon 4 lucky volunteers and maybe get some money for our club. Do you have something, Jonathan?
I'll donate $20 if you take all 4 and stick them in your mouth for the next 30 seconds.
I don't think so.
That's good.
Okay, the next portion of our meeting, we're going to enter this table topic section. And for this, we're going to call upon one terrific fool. Our table topics master this evening was a body double for Brad Pitt in Thelma and Louise, and later for Mark Wahlberg in Boogie Nights. Yes, those scenes.
Just the end scene.
Before deciding Hollywood wasn't for him, it was ruthless and didn't align with his Christian beliefs. However, in 2010, he was part of the hiring process for the trainers on America's Biggest Loser, as well as being the mastermind behind P90X. He picked his good friend Tony Horton to be the face, as he was through with being in the limelight. Very humble. And you guys thought Toastmasters was behind his mad speaking skills. His one big regret, though, he wrote some of President Obama's speeches in 2007, helping him win the election. And he realizes now that while Barack is a great guy and a great dad, there's just been absolutely zero change in all of it. In other words, our table topics master drank the Kool-Aid. Please welcome presidential speechwriter, celebrity, and all-around great guy, Jonathan Gertrude Dunn.
Yes.
we all know what Table Topics is, I don't need to bore you with those details. But what I do want to tell you is we have a very exciting new member here. And earlier in the hallway, he was telling me about this crazy April Fool's joke he did involving a burning bag of poop, a banana in a tailpipe, a transvestite stripper, and a bag of powdered donuts. So Roy, could you tell the fellow Toastmasters about that one?
Whoa, where do I start with that one? So we're in Vegas. We're at a strip club. My wife wasn't there. So we're having some drinks. We walk on in. Next thing you know, I'm surrounded by beautiful women. Come in the back, come in the back, come in the back. So we sit down, we kind of take our time, and the next thing I know, it's 2, 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning, and we've had a ton of drinks. And finally, I go in the back with one of them, and right away, I'm just shocked. It's a transvestite. I just hauled to the bathroom. Didn't quite make it, so grabbed the bag off the wall, and you know, it is what it is. I was just shocked and flabbergasted, and I didn't quite make it, so I was totally embarrassed. Wrapped it up, threw it over my shoulder, and ran. Next thing you know, I was outside of the strip club in a back alley, jumped in a cab, took us back to the hotel. We stopped off at 7-Eleven on the way back, and I grabbed some powdered donuts and a banana because I need some protein and potassium in my system to help revive myself. So finally we got back to the hotel, and I was just totally out of it, exhausted, ready for bed by then at that time. So I got out of the limo, and I must have dropped my half-eaten bag of powdered donuts. I didn't finish the banana, so as the taxi was driving away, I just shanted up the exhaust pipe. I didn't want to litter. And that's it. I went home, I went to bed, got some sleep, called my wife at 11 o'clock in the morning and told her we had a great night playing bingo and going to the theater.
You woke up, you went to your computer screen, you discovered your bank balance had an extra $50 million in it. Maureen, what would be the first thing you would do if you discovered that?
I guess that's no flim flam right now. You said 50 million?
$50 million.
Sounds really, really good right now. But if I went to the bank and I found out I had that amount of money, first, I would be in awe. I probably would start screaming, and people probably be wondering what was the problem, but just excitement from seeing all that money, because I'm sure a million things would be going through my head. Who I was gonna tell first about this money? That's my, after screaming, I'm thinking, who am I gonna call to tell him I have all this money in the bank? Of course, I would call my daughter and tell her, and I'm sure when I call her, she'll be screaming as well. So I know by then my ears would be deafening from what we was gonna do with that money. And I know my next thought would be, geez, I'm gonna take a trip. I've been wanting to go to England for the longest time. I've been there, but it's been years. And seeing my family and my sister, that's the next thing I'm probably thinking I would have to go on a trip to England. After that, I'll call my husband, because let him know. But I know he was gonna tell me all this stuff. He's like, okay, now I would have to stop talking and thinking, because he'd be the one now to be telling me how to spend the money, what to do, where to go, all that stuff. So that's probably where it would end right there, because I would get upset, because then he's gonna want to tell me everything to do. So I guess That's it.
Wonderful. I am dying to hear about the best April Fool's prank you have ever played on somebody. And I also want to say that saying you don't have one isn't an option. Cece, make it up if necessary.
I just felt like this one was coming towards me. Thank you, Mr. Table Topic Master. All right, the best prank jokes I can recall would be at my workplace. I personally don't have one, but cumulatively, as far as my team members are concerned, we decided to make up a prank on my boss. She's always at every meeting, 9 o'clock, 11 o'clock, so we timed her pretty, efficiently, where we decided that we were going to collect plastic roach. She is so afraid of roaches. Any insect for that matter. Any little stuff like a fuzzball that falls on her keyboard, she goes crazy. She goes screaming. For nothing. She would distract us just from her scream. But at this point, we decided to do that. So she left for a meeting, and we knew that the meeting would last for about a half hour. We didn't have a plastic roach around the area, but I do recall that one point we found a plastic roach in one of the Christmas boxes that we had stored away in the storage room. So we remember that, and someone remembered that, and they pulled it out and they put it on her laptop, her keyboard. And we all came down, sat, and working like, there was nothing going on. And she walked past our desk, she looked at us like, usually when she would come down and see us talking among ourselves, but this time was different. So she looked at us, and before you knew it, she sat down and ready to, touch her mouse, and she wanted to type, and all of a sudden we heard this scream, and we couldn't help it but to laugh, and she noticed that it was a plastic roach, and she knew that it was us who played the prank on her. Thank you, Mr. Tim.
Wonderful. I love standing up here and looking at everybody, people who think they're safe from answering a question, just like they think they're safe from having April Fool's jokes played on them. But I know for the next person that's going to be. Hey, just kidding. I'm just April Fool's in you. I wanted to see you squirrel a little bit. I mean, you got plenty of sugar in your system with that Coke Classic. Even though this man has had 13 different roles tonight, I have to hear about the best April Fool's joke ever played on him. He's now in my role this timer. Mark Lockery, tell us about the best one played on you.
Thank you, Mr. Table Topics. Actually, I've never had a joke played on me, but I did play a great practical joke once. I went to Vegas one summer and dressed up like a transvestite. And I thought I was going and videotape some married guys that came into the club and maybe get some extortion money and things like that. One guy did come into the club, and I fell in love with him. I couldn't play a joke on him. He knew I had a soft spot in my heart for powdered donuts and banana peels. So what Roy didn't mention in his speech is that we actually eloped at the Little White Chapel. And now, thanks to Maureen's idea about the $50 million, I'm going to get him for some alimony, some child support. And then, Charlie, I'm going to be able to afford you that sex change operation that you've been waiting to get so long. And not the cheap one in Tijuana, a good doctor this time. That's it, Mr. Table Topics. Woo!
And now, actually, it's too bad. Looks like my time up here is over, so Mark, now may you turn around and give us a timer's report, please.
Yes. Roy, and the donut-eating transvestite, 1 minute and 44 seconds. Maureen and her 50 million smackaroos, 2 minutes and 2 seconds. Cece, the best prank ever with the Roach Motel, 2 minutes and 18 seconds. And me, I'm the best joke, 1 minute and 8 seconds, all four qualify, Mr. Table Tennis.
Now, before you get too comfortable, I would like to turn control back over to our Toastmaster, Mark Lockery.
Now just remember, I only have 4 pieces of candy, so the first 4 people that are going to rush up here are going to get it. The next portion of our meeting is the gesture evaluation portion. So, we are fortunate enough tonight that our general evaluator is a famous professional keynote speaker. Her speeches, such as Penguin Songs, You Are My Mother, and Where Is My Left Shoe, have wowed audiences the world over. Giving us her much valued opinion on our club meeting, please help me welcome distinguished Toastmaster Susan Morgan.
Good evening, everyone. I'm very excited to be here, and we're having so much fun. It's been totally great. The things that I do as general evaluator, I think everyone knows. I introduce our evaluators, and I give my opinion on how our meeting has run throughout the night. Our first evaluator is a very awesome person. She is incredibly creative, and she totally knows how to evaluate very effectively. We are so lucky to have her. Ladies and gentlemen, me. We have to double up. Gloria, this was a really great speech. She was doing how to say it in the Competent Communicator Manual, and she was supposed to give a speech that was appropriate for the particular assignment and use simple, short, and clear words, vivid descriptions, and make sure that everyone could understand what she was talking about. Gloria, you did an excellent job. Some of the things that I thought you did really well were you used rhetorical devices, such as you were talking about the M&Ms in the 2 bowls and how that was finances of people who may have won the lottery or people who can or cannot take control of their money well enough. And that was a very interesting rhetorical device there. I did want to mention there were a couple of places, I know you talked to me earlier about keeping your speech slower and speaking clearly and such like that. You did really well with that, except for I thought you still could have put in a couple of more pauses. And one that I thought would have been really good is when you said, are you worldly or spiritual? I would stop, I would say, are you worldly or spiritual? I think that would have more of an impact on your speech. I thought that was really great. There were a couple of times I heard a gonna and a let's see, wasn't getting, so maybe try and remember to going to or getting. So that's just some proper grammar, not a big deal. But in what you did really, really well was you used the rule of 3. And that was really done well. You did, what if you won $1 million? Your life can end tomorrow, or the number of days you have to live. And some of the things that you did really well with that was you also talked about making people laugh and having a great attitude, and there was one other one that I didn't pick up, another great rule of 3. There was another thing I wanted to tell you that was awesome. Oh yes, you also gave the lotto tickets to Charlie. I thought that was a really great thing. Oh, you repeated the scenarios of the stories, and that was really done well. So you pretty much would say the $1 million, the $1 million. The life can change tomorrow, and you repeated that after a pause. We were able to understand that really well. You did a great job, and I'm so excited to hear your next speech. Madam General Evaluator. So let's go on here and get some of our, oops, I left my intro over there. Sorry. Thank you, Micki.
For the first time in life, I'm prepared.
I know, huh? And I leave it. April Fool's? No, I wish I could say that. Some time ago, aliens visited the Earth, and the first person they encountered was a 6-year-old girl, who is actually our second evaluator tonight. Due to a strange quirk in their culture, they decided that the girl was the rightful ruler of the world. After a brief war with Earth's armies, the girl was put into power and ruled the world until the days that she decided, instead of putting up with all the crap in the universe, she would rather focus her energy on becoming the Toastmaster. Tonight, to evaluate Charlie Bombalier's speech, please help me welcome Micki!
Dear friends, and dear guests, and especially Charlie. It is my pleasure to evaluate your speech tonight. But I'd like to say a few words about the project that you worked on. It is project number 6 in Vocal Variety Competent Communicator Manual. The objective of the project was to use voice volume, pitch, rate, and quality to reflect and add meaning and interest to the message. First of all, I like that the speech was related to the theme of the meeting, and that we were already in the spirit of the day, Fool's Day, so it was even more enjoyable for us to listen to your speech. You did a very good job with using vocal variety on in some of the moments. For instance, when you said gentle music, you used soft voice, and that created a very good effect. I liked your imagination. You were very funny, especially when you talked about becoming a woman. You paused a few times to draw attention of the audience to your statement, but I think you didn't pause enough. I think you should have used a stronger voice, like when you talked about your demons, the voice should have been strong. And maybe if you could try role play, you being both players, you know, just to have like a colorful delivery of your speech, something to bring more, to give you reason to use vocal variety. Otherwise, like that you always connect to the audience, with the audience. And I like that you are very funny. And I like that we have the same political views. Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you, Micki. Our next evaluator, actually, our last evaluator tonight was born on a Wednesday, last Wednesday. You have now terrified him so badly, he is planning to seek out the Tibetan monks that trained tonight's Toastmaster. Here for a final hurrah, please help me welcome Advanced Toastmaster Gold, Stephen Morgan.
I finally know what my cigarettes are. And apparently I'm almost out of time already. My cigarette is speech contests. And whereas, Mark, you gave us the great explanation of what your cigarettes have done for you, where you may have been lost with the $35,675, I'm drowning in trophies. And I'm trying to figure out how to deal with that as well. And as a result, as all of our Toastmasters tonight here know, I end up looking at every speech as it has to be the contest speech. So as I'm looking at your speech tonight, I've noticed so many things in that you've gone through the effort in many ways of choreographing, how you've specifically chosen the words that you chose, how you managed to use the pause to bring up the intensity, and even having the fun with the supporting prop here, which you just love so much. We have just got to make sure we know how much you love this thing. So we have definitely gotten a wonderful idea of what is going on in your head. What I can definitely say I loved about this particular speech was how you put everything together in such a fun and entertaining way. In suggestions that I could toss out there where you were giving us the idea of the patch with the left, right, the back, and the forehead. I wanted to say, rule of 3, you have one too many. You have to take one of them out. But being April Fool's, I want to see that patch put on the forehead and left there would have been perfect. An absolute wonderful way to put a nice little twist on this speech. But I must tell you, I particularly loved the raspy voice. Dr. Shazatsky, or whatever it was the name you gave. Actually, what you gave was a perfect rendition of Milton Erickson. The one person who laughed is the other hypnotist in the room. Milton Erickson is actually a very famous hypnotist, and that was the way he sounded and behaved. And that was pretty much the kind of techniques that you were trying to demonstrate at that particular moment. Now, being a hypnotist myself, I can also tell you that it has nothing to do with strength. It's not about being strong enough. An addiction has nothing to do with strength. It has to do with options. How can you find another way to achieve the happiness you desire? And if you can't find another way, you're going to stick with the one you know. And then you pointed it out. You imagined another way that you could be happy. And that is how you're going to break that cycle. So it's about the imagination. So I imagine one day, for myself, thank you for this, that I can break my cycle if I can find that opportunity to be that day when I'm going to be asked to speak because they actually want to hear me speak, not because there's time and they have to sit there and listen. But perhaps this is the best place for it, because as you've discovered, the best support group is Toastmasters, where all the Toast Whisperers are here to give you the advice you seek. Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you, Mark, for coming in and giving us that wonderful speech. We really appreciate it. So the next thing I get to do is get a timer's report from Jonathan. How did we do on our...
We had had 2 out of 3 qualify. Unfortunately, Stephen, who gave a very good evaluation, went over. So please pick between Susan and Micki. I can't even lie, man, if I tried. But actually, you didn't qualify.
I didn't qualify.
Stephen and Micki. Micki, good job qualifying.
Under 5 minutes, hey, there we go.
Please vote for Micki or Stephen. It's a little bit challenging when you're up here giving an evaluation and a general evaluation. And let's go with our next person, our awe counter. How did we do with our awe counting this evening?
Overall, everyone did really good. Charlie, you had 1 crutch word. Roy, you had 3 crutch words, 3 bridge words. Jonathan Dunn, you had 1 bridge word. Gloria, 2 crutch words, 5 bridge words, and your bridge word was a lot. So Cece, you had 2 R's. Susan, 2 bridge words. And Micki, you had 1 crutch word, 1 bridge word. And that's it. Everybody,
Thank you, Maureen. Yes,
Can
Roy?
I have my memory refreshed on the difference between a bridge word and a, just kind of what each
A bridge
is are?
word is something like, and, so, that's not in the correct,
Starting a phrase with a conjunction.
yeah.
Okay. And then the clutch is,
A double clutch is the repetition of a word while someone is thinking through their next thought,
okay, thank you.
trying to come up with it.
Give him that hat, he'll know it all then.
Yeah, put on the hat,
magically
and then
come
it'll
back.
just come in. And speaking of Roy, let's go ahead and get our grammarian report. Roy, what have you done?
I am personally not fantastic with grammar, so the only thing that I really caught, quite frankly, Maureen, and I don't know if I just didn't hear it, but I thought I heard you say thinking and telling without the G on the end, possibly. I don't know. That's the only thing that I came up with. But to the word of the day, and some colorful phrases, the ones who I did not hear use the word of the day were Mark, Micki D, Cece, Stephen, Susan, and Charlie. Everybody else used it.
I said it at the beginning of the speech.
You did say it? Okay. All right, so you get to save that 25 cents.
All right, thanks, Roy. We appreciate that.
All right, thank you.
And now for my general evaluation report. I thought it was really wonderful how Mark went over the agenda and said, okay, we're going to have a change here and a change there, so we kind of all were on the same page. The thought and pledge came a little bit late. But, hey, better late than never. So I think that was still good. It was kind of a change of pace, and we got to do something a little bit different tonight. I loved the joke of the day, and we did a great job on all the speeches. Everyone who gave a speech did an excellent job. Our table topics were creative and fun. I had a good time listening to those and even trying to imagine what I would say if I had to. And our evaluations were really well done. Everyone did the sandwich method, so they gave a nice thing that they've done well, something that they can suggest to do better, and then again, what wonderful things they did with their speech. So I'm really happy with my team for that. That is my general evaluation report, and I am now going to turn over our meeting to our president, I believe, Mr. Charlie Bombalier.
vote for most improved.
Oh, yes, vote for most improved, sorry.
I want to know who is going to take the challenge of the Central Florida Facilitators Food Taste.
So was that $10 per nasty item?
Yes. Max of 4.
30 seconds.
I'll take one for the team.
Yay,
Need
go
three more.
Roy.
Jonathan?
No way.
Gloria, did I see you order up?
No, I was pointing.
What kind of candies are they? If I put it in my mouth, am I really gonna taste it? Do I have to chew on it?
One doesn't chew on it, just leave it in there for 30 seconds.
Can I get a timer report?
Yep, we'll have it right there, just like that.
No, I'm just telling you.
How many licks does, you wanna do it now? You wanna do it now, Roy?
Do it now, come on.
No, we want to see this.
Oh, I thought, I didn't hear it. How many more? Like 15 or 16.
Susan, I'll do it.
Okay,
Okay.
Now you got two.
Yeah.
Susan, you can do it?
Gloria and I'll do it.
And Stephen?
If I throw out.
Take one together? Yeah, someone's gonna need to drive home.
Oh.
All right, two left, two left.
Can we
Maureen,
smell it? I have,
you gonna do it?
yeah.
I'll take 3.
Oh.
Susan already put it in.
She already did?
Oh, start the
Okay,
clock.
it's going.
Okay.
Oh, wait, I have
All right.
to open it.
Is it bad? No? Okay.
Gonna set off the bomb in a moment.
20
Mine
seconds
tastes like
in.
a peeled banana stuck up an exhaust pipe.
I brought that back from Vegas.
Susan and Roy hit 30 seconds.
So what are the results?
What does it taste like? Give us a description.
Mine tastes like black licorice.
Really?
I don't know what mine tasted like.
Mixed with a fart.
If it was brown, it was supposed to be a fart.
Bruise fox was
If it was red, it's the fish. So I don't know who grabbed
Okay,
what.
I got the red, so it was a fish.
The fish, okay. So $30 to facilitate. Thank you.
Mine now.
Our guest, Mark, will you give us a few seconds of what you thought of the meeting?
Yes. I am thrilled to be here, delighted. I had a great time on April Fool's Day. It's kind of nervous what's going to happen, but I've seen you welcoming me and making me feel comfortable. I had a great time. And I invite every one of you to visit our club in Winter Haven.
Awesome.
Anytime you like. Our information is on the website. Thank you.
Just real quick, when are your meetings?
We meet every second and fourth Tuesday at 6:30 at Winter Haven Police Training Academy.
Where's Winter Haven, by the way?
Got no wine there.
Yes. Winter Haven is next to, well, not next to, we have Legoland.
Okay,
And it's exit 48 down I-4 West.
okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's fine.
Is there any other business? Okay, so it's time for the great awards. Because you don't know what this, we have a Tim Chastain Award.
Okay.
It is given by the president to whoever he deems did above and beyond the call of duty to help the club out, the meetings and stuff. Tonight was very, very close, and I mean super close. The person that's gonna win this tonight did one thing above and beyond what anyone else did here. She got me a glass of wine. Susan Morgan.
Bribery, just like real politics.
That's
Yeah,
right.
exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
Most Improved Award, Maureen M. Best Evaluator Award, Mr. Stephen Morgan. Not so many.
Thank you.
Best Table Topics, Art Laundry. And last but not least, Best Speaker Award goes to Art Guy. If there's no other business,